Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer, so let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
Hey, everybody. Last night, I had the honor, the privilege, the joy to interview the one and only Alan Cumming at Club Cumming with Bette Sussman at the piano, and it was a blast. So here you are, part one of my live interview with Alan Cumming, Bette Sussman at the piano. Enjoy! Do you think we'll be done with social media soon? Our phones and all that shit?
I think it's an interesting thing that I think I've heard more and more people wanting to do. What's that funny noise? Oh, it's the cauldron.
I told you!
We're doing. We're having what you call digital fasts.
Right.
Where people like take a month off of everything. I'm going to do it for a week actually in a few weeks.
Oh, it's a fast?
He's called a digital fast, so you don't go on Instagram or Twitter or. I mean, I'm not sure if you're allowed to
say Twitter again. I just want to come again in my pants. Oh my God, Twitter. Oh, I hate it. I mean, my girlfriend Elisa is here, and she'll say, "Fuck, Elisa's Jewish." She'll say that I'm addicted to it, but I resent it. I resent, I
hate that thing. It tells you how many hours you've spent on it.
Right. Oh, I can't look at the screen time. Your screen time was down last week. Alan, first of all, there's no one like you. Alan, you are besides the fact that you're like incredibly talented. Like it's like, no, I can't. Like when you think of like Chopin or, Schubert, who died at 34.
Did he really?
He died at 34.
Was he a Jew?
No, but I just wanted to do that. What? Yeah, it's Shemini Atzeret right now. But he died at 34, but had written more music than anyone in the period of time that he had lived. And I feel like you are iconic in such an incredible way. Your book. Okay, so I've read parts of both of your books.
I think we should maybe turn off the cauldron. I feel it's going to be weird.
When I said it, forget it.
Do you think
is everyone here gay? Seriously.
Yes, of course. Or gay adjacent.
Thank you. Alan, first of all, you grew up in Scotland, Aberfeldy, Perthshire. Is that right? All right, I'm from New Jersey. What the fuck do you want?
It is. I was born in Aberfeldy. And then I visited Edinburgh.
Okay.
Before going to Glasgow.
Oh, I feel like such an asshole. That's great. But you grew up on this estate.
Country estate.
Yeah, like an estate, like Downton Abbey-ish.
Downton. Yes.
Oh, Downton. Oh, I got it. Meanwhile, we're in the car coming here, and all she's doing is playing the Downton Abbey theme so she can remember it for the... Okay. So you grew up... So it had been a Downton Abbey-ish estate that was built like in 1212 or something.
Something like that.
And then... this is totally true. And then... it was demolished in 1955, but then all these other little houses the castle was demolished, right?
Yes, so what happened was, it happened a lot in Britain, actually. So it was a big estate, and I grew up, I would go past the gamekeeper's house, and like my dad was the head forester. There was foresters and gamekeepers and people who, it was really sort of feudal in that way, and it was like a sort of the latter end of the whole sort of grand estates and the Downton Abbey-ness of it all. But in the 50s, what happened was... in the 50s, the death taxes for... the government made such big death taxes, so lots of these families, what they did was they stripped the houses, the big castles, of all the valuable things and, sort of marble and all the things, and then blew them up so that they wouldn't have to pay the death duties, the taxes on them. So when I grew up, there was like there was some stables and what was the old chapel left of the big castle building, and you could see in the field the sort of where the elevation of the old where the buildings had been. It was sort of like, cows grazing on this elevated thing. So it's a really there's a book called The Lost Castles of Scotland, the lost big houses of Scotland, and it happened everywhere actually in all these estates. They just blew the fuckers up.
So when you went to school, did you have to walk through acres and acres of land? How did you get to school?
So I walked out of my house up through the sawmill yard. My house was called Nursery House because there was a nursery in front of it with trees.
Oh yes, the nursery house. I have that written here. Yes.
And then I walk up through the sawmill yard. I'd walk past, go up. It was about maybe 3/4 of a mile to get to the end of to the gates of the estate. I'd walk past some of the workers who worked for my dad, the gamekeeper's house where all the pheasants were reared, and then I went to the lodge at the end of the driveway, and then there was these big gates, and that's when I got the school bus, and then I would go on a bus for 15 minutes or 20 minutes to the local town.
Wow. And you have an older brother, Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother was she worked for an insurance company. Her name, Mary Darling.
Her name still is Mary Darling.
Yes, that's such a great name, isn't it?
Great? Yeah.
Insurance company secretary.
Yeah.
And your father was an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
bad.
Really was, big
bad.
Time.
Reading your book and reading about, your father full of rage, and the fact that I can't even imagine the story of the haircut, the abuse, and the fact that thank God, have resolved all of that. But do you the one thing? No, he has.
No, I don't know actually. I'm actually I wrote this book and it was really a great thing for me. But I find that because I'm writing another book now, and one of the things I want to address is
4 books he's written. Okay, go.
This would be the 6th actually. Judy, what
the fuck? I do all my research. God damn it.
Do the kids ones? There's 2 kids books.
Oh, I thought there was only one kids book.
2.
Oh, sorry.
And there's a novel. Did you do the novel?
Yes, I know the novel.
Yeah. And there's another. Anyway, blah blah.
Who's motherfucker?
Who's counting? But what I want to talk about in that book is that I think and especially in America, there's a thing that if you have had some sort of problem and abuse or something like that, and you are able to lead a happier life, and you've transcended it, and it's because. But I don't think you have resolved it, because I feel what I want to talk about in the new book is that it's always with you. It stays, and you just get better at dealing with it. And in a way, I thought when I wrote Not My Father's Son that it would in some way I would have a sort of a catharsis and have some sort of resolution with my father. But actually, he is more in my life than he ever was. He's right here beside, and as he should be, he's my father. But I found in a way that book brought him closer to me rather than
further away.
Pushed him away. So I want to write about the idea that I think we in America, we're encouraged to think that if you sort of are a happy, successful person and you've had something terrible in your past, then it's all over. And it's not all over. It's still with you. And you just deal with it in a different way. And you understand you're going to have it's going to come back. And there's things that there's things that about what happened to me that I have to sort of stand back from all the time and think, oh, that's why I'm reacting like this in my adult life. And that's I think you get better at that, but I don't think it ever resolves itself.
Right. But you've said that because of the way you had to behave around your father to avoid any rage or abuse from him, the not reacting, the
reading of a situation,
right, and then walking in and saying, "Okay, how do I deal with this situation?" Really, was your first study in acting and character work, sort of.
Yes, and I mean it's interesting because again, I think when the book came out and I said that, I feel like being with an abusive person, you have to, an abusive parent, someone who's in control of you, you have to, you come into a room, you're like, okay, what's going on right now? What's happening? What mood are they in? You really have to quickly understand the energy, which is like walking on a stage and you're like, okay, how's the crowd?
Yes. Oh,
what's going on?
Yeah.
even with another scene, where are we with this scene? But or especially when you do like a stand-up or a concert show, when you walk in, it's just you. You're like, what are they like? So that was, I didn't realize it then, but that was really good training to be an actor. But I don't think, the thing I don't like is when people think, oh, like, you know, because I had an abusive childhood, that's what makes me a good actor. I don't believe that at all. Because I'm sure like Meryl Streep had a lovely, lovely childhood.
I know,
in New
right? Don't you
Jersey.
think so?
Yeah. And lots of people have lovely times, and
Yeah.
it doesn't mean they're any, you know, it's not, I think that's a misconception about it. But absolutely what I said is, I really do think is true that, and I've talked to other people who have been in abusive parent situations, that you have to understand very quickly certain tropes about how that are very useful actually later when you are, you know, because acting's all about reacting.
Right.
So you have to understand how to deal with all that.
It's funny because I mean, it's not that funny, but your father, the story about the haircut and how he wanted you to get a haircut. You said you were going to get it at school, and he then dragged you and cut your hair. I mean, and you took that and you love changing your hair around. Like, that is taking this horrible situation and you own your hair now.
I just got bangs for the first time in 25 years. What was that?
I don't know. I thought you were going to do hair. Oh, that's hair.
Oh, hair. I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it might have been bang bang. Bang bang. Yeah, like I think that's something that's it took me a long time to realize why it was. And actually, you know, in this recent part of my life, like when I was in The Good Wife and everything for ages, playing a Jew.
Yes. Oh, right. Eli Gold. Fuck this phone. I hate that. Now I got to do this. Here we go.
Thank you. I, you know, wasn't able to change my hair as much. So that
Wait, by the way, you play such a good Jew. You're so good.
That's so funny. There's always little ladies on the street, like in New York, or especially like uptown, that they've seen me and they go, "Yo, you play a good Jew."
Wait, I wanted to ask you, doing an American accent.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It's no biggie.
What do you focus on when you do, like, because look, we all try to be like, I want an accent. I mean, I think I could have gotten further in my career.
Accent.
I know, but it's fucking New Jersey bullshit accent, okay? I say coffee. It's like horrible. And you have this beautiful, you can say Twitter and it's like, I get a little excited. Yeah. What do you have to do to speak like an American?
Well, so the first thing you have to do is to forget any consonants in any thing. Like, just remove the consonant, and you've got to kind of go, hang on, in the back of your throat a bit. So you, so you go like I remember there was a thing in The Good Wife. I remember thinking this is a perfect distillation of it, because the line was, I would say, well, it worked for Clinton.
Okay.
Right?
Well, it worked for Clinton, yeah. Okay.
And I go, well, it worked for Clinton. So it's a way back swallowed, and there's no T in Clinton. And
because we're fucking lazy. That's why.
Lazy in that way. Like, I know even when you say things like, well, that's the thing. It's interesting. I was talking to some Canadian people earlier, and like, I always imagine them being a bit more, they're sort of more Anglo-Saxon kind of culture, but they'd still say Toronto.
Toronto,
like, if someone is from
there's a lot of Jews
Toronto,
there. Go ahead.
If someone is from Toronto, when they don't do the T, Toronto. Because we say Toronto.
How do you add a Jew thing to that? Like, because he's a Jew, Eli.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually played quite a lot of Jewish people over the years. Like,
you kind of look Jewy.
I do. Especially, I look like a European Jew.
Yeah. Do you have any Jewy in you?
I'm about to do that 23andMe.
Oh, I did it.
What did you find out? Jew.
That's what I fucking found out. It's so annoying. I was like, oh, can I all I wanted was to be black. I was like, oh, can I just be a little bit black, And came back. I'm 99.7% Ashkenazi fucking Jew. And I am a little bit Neanderthal. Well, that's obvious. Look at me. And then...
What, they really say that?
Yes, and Sardinian. So someone went off, had a fucking affair, and then, yeah. And then I'm 100% European, so...
Well, I mean, that's... I mean,
So wait, you haven't... I guarantee you, because you have Jewy eyes. I'm telling you, you're Jewy.
I'm so excited, actually, to find out...
Are you circumcised?
No. Do you know once...
But if you find out you're Jewy, will you get circumcised?
No.
All right.
No, because I don't believe in circumcision. I
Really?
think it's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
There's a reason we have a foreskin, to protect
Really?
the most sensitive part of our bodies. And the fact that people chop it off. And this covenant with God, the Jewish... I mean, there's other people say religious reasons. I'm like, tell me about those. The covenant with God. What?
I know.
And like, there's all these other things that you're supposed to... You know, if you don't get... a woman doesn't... If her husband dies and doesn't get married to her... brother, then we're supposed to stone her. We've stopped all those things.
I know,
but
yeah.
we're still lop off
We're
our
still, I know,
foreskins.
there's no...
I think it's terrible.
I do.
And I think in America it's sort of cut.
Except my kids are circumcised.
Well,
but...
you know. Well, because I bet you at the hospital they were like.
No, I had a whole bris thing.
Oh, you did?
I know, I had a moil. It was crying. We were at the synagogue. There were bagels and lox. I mean, we ate afterwards.
There's a man.
We chopped off the kid's penis and then had fucking brunch. I mean, what is that?
I think it's
like
terrible.
rugalach, and you know.
And you know about the man who he used to bite it?
Oh, please, I
There's
can't.
the breast,
That I can't deal with.
The moil who bit it.
Yeah.
And then he gave herpes to the
Yeah.
baby and everything. It was just
Yeah.
awful. And sometimes it goes horribly wrong, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, worse than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, why are we talking about foreskins?
Oh, because I want to know if you were circumcised.
I don't have a foreskin. And actually, we're just talking about...
Does your husband have foreskin?
No.
And
So
what are you attracted more to foreskin or not?
Well, the thing is, I have to say, like, obviously, when you don't have a foreskin, the head of your penis is less sensitive.
Really?
Of course, because it's not protected by a foreskin all the time. So know,
you have better orgasms.
I have a more sensitive head of my dick, yes. And also, uncircumcised boys take longer to come.
Oh, that would annoy me.
Yeah, it does annoy me.
Yeah. I'd be like, all right, I already came.
Yeah, you're like, come on, we've got to go to dinner.
Yeah, I got stuff to do. I got to be places. I got people to call.
When you know the difference. But it was funny because there's a party in LA that actually we were talking about one here, but it was a party in LA, and our friend Mario, who used to run. Did you know Mario Diaz? He used to do the Cock, that bar, the Cock.
No,
but he's so funny.
I never went to the Cock.
No,
I went to the Vag, but I didn't go to the Cock.
But anyway, he does a night in I can't believe I'm telling this story.
Oh, I love it.
In LA, and it's at this bar called Foo Bar on Thursdays, and it's called BFD. It stands for Big Fat Dick. And it's just a fun sort of like, dirty gay bar party. But they have this thing where...
Do any women go?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, because sometimes they actually... And Drew Barrymore features in the story, and she is a woman. And they have a thing
now.
where there's a competition where you go in the back and they take a picture of your penis. Or your boobs, I suppose, because I have seen boobs on and they do this sort of clothesline of photographs at the end of the night, and everyone does a sort of clapometer for what is the best penis or whatever.
But do you know whose penis and tits they are? Okay,
it's only of the member. Of the genitals, and so isn't it funny?
Yeah.
And so you go in this back, and they're like, blah blah, and everyone's having drinks, and someone takes a picture of your genitals, and then you forget, and a couple of hours later, and it's all on a clothesline. Oh my gosh! And then the audience chooses the best one, and so
then do you have to go up?
No, you don't. I mean,
they just say this, and you just know by yourself, like, wow.
I think we just applaud.
No,
we just applaud the beauty.
Right.
And
did you ever see one and go, I slept with that, or I slept with that? No.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know that many people now.
Okay.
But one time so Drew Barrymore was there, and because with her assistant, who's gay, and so she and I were sort of at the back in a wee sort of the corridor, and we were chatting away. It was late, and everyone's drunk, and this man came up and went, Alan, congratulations, you've won the best dick competition. And Drew Barrymore said, I am so glad I was here for this moment. I've actually won the best penis competition.
How many times?
Twice.
Wow.
But the reason I think
Were there any African Americans there?
Yes.
Wow.
But the reason I've won it is because I have a foreskin and
Right.
nobody else has
No
a
one
foreskin.
else had the
And so
foreskin.
it's like we're all obsessed with what we don't have. You know?
Right.
It also is I also
that's
have
a great
quite a nice
story.
penis. I'm just going to tell you that as well.
Has a woman ever won for her tits or no?
I don't know. There was tits.
I'm going to this
there was
fucking
tits
thing.
on the time. I beat some tits. I mean, if
You
know what I
did.
mean, that night. But yes, I don't know. Perhaps.
If they have a saggy tit award, I would win that. You said that you learned from first of all, you had this unconditional adoration and love from your mother.
Yes.
And that you had both ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
And you said that, you didn't believe either of them.
Yeah. No, because my dad told me I was useless, worthless. And my mum told me I was precious.
Yeah.
And so
You are.
and thanks. But I remember thinking, well, they can't both be right. And so I think, it made me start to realize, at a very young age, I knew that my father there was something wrong.
Right.
Aside from just him, being violent, I knew there was something wrong with him. And so because of this range of the spectrum of, information I was getting. And then, but so in a way, it was a very good thing in that I had to sort of make my own mind up about things from a very early age.
Right.
And I think that was, in a way, it was one of the positive things that came out of a very horrible situation.
You say also your father had extramarital affairs, so you never felt shame about sex, which I find. You really make lemonade out of.
Well, I saw my father having lots of affairs, having someone like. What I mean is, I saw someone who could not deal with who was having problems living in a world that was constricting him, but the mores of how you live your life, relationships and all that stuff, and dealing with his desire. And as he was not I think he was mentally ill in some way. He wasn't very kind about it. He has no empathy, had no understanding of how his behavior affected other people.
Oh, so Trump. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I just thought of something.
Totally.
Yeah.
And also in the same way with affairs. So I saw someone, and what I learned was that that is something that we all have. That is something that I learned not to be ashamed of my desire. I just think you have to manage it, be kind about it, and find a way to make it work for you. So that's actually a positive lesson I learned from my father. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. When you left in the morning to go to school, was that? Did you look forward to it? Were you like, I'm out of the fucking house?
Well, I wanted.
Did you thrive there
at school?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. My biggest thing was to get from my house to the school bus. I had to pass the gauntlet of my father, and he was incredibly, like a lot of mentally ill people, he was incredibly fixated on me and my appearance, and so I had to kind of pass his inspection. If he was, if he wasn't there every day, but I would feel his gaze, and it would just be awful to get to the school bus unscathed. And then when I went to school, in a funny sort of way, my friend Alan he's called Alan Scott, and he was here recently, and he's my oldest friend. I've known him for 49 years.
Wow.
I know.
That's amazing.
And he was here just a couple of weeks ago. And what's interesting, that he sometimes tells me things about school, and I have absolutely no recollection
memory,
of them.
yeah.
Because I think I had so much going on at home that things like, weird boys or bully boys and everything like that. And then Alan, my friend, was very protective of me. I actually just didn't have the bandwidth to deal with them. And so it's an interesting thing. I think memory, I've realized over my life, is a collective thing. Like, I obviously have all these memories in my head, but until someone reminds me of them, I can't access them. And I found that many, it's a lovely thing about getting older, and you run into people you haven't seen for ages.
Right.
And suddenly they say things, you go, wow, I would never have remembered that.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
When people are like, remember when we, went to the, B-52's concert and,
Yes.
and didn't have the tickets? And I'm like, no. But then the next day, I kind of remember it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so weird.
Or just certain things will spark something. That's what's amazing about the brain.
Were you involved in theater in school? Were you...
Well, yes, sort of. Like when I was in high school, there was a really lovely teacher. It's actually this interesting thing. A few times I've been asked, do you want to do this thing about the teacher that inspired you and blah, blah, blah. And I always assumed this lady was long gone. Mm-hmm. And I realized recently she only died about, in the last 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. But she was called Mrs. Lowe, and she was my English teacher, and she did plays sometimes. So she encouraged me to do, because we did reading, we would read the play, like we'd be studying Shakespeare or something, and we would read sometimes. And so then she asked me to be in a play.
Right.
And I did a play, and I it was the first thing I'd ever done. And then I did a few at school, and then I did a few at the sort of local amateur dramatic company, and then I went to drama school. I mean, it wasn't like I did loads and loads. I wasn't like a theatre kid.
Right.
We didn't have a drama department in my school.
Right.
I just did a couple of plays and an opera at school, and then a couple outside after that, and then I was just like, I have no other choice.
Did you have a piano in the house?
I did play the piano, yeah, because one of the men who worked for my father, a forester, his wife was a music teacher at the school, the high school, so she taught me. And I saw her recently, actually, a couple of years ago.
No way!
I was in Edinburgh at doing my show at the festival, and she keeps in touch with my mum, and she came to the show, and it was so amazing. And my brother was there that night, so we both saw it. It was really lovely. And I just remember, she would, when you're doing your exercise like this, and she would come round like this over me. And I remember her boobs being on my head.
Oh, hot.
Like these big piano teacher, new mum boobs.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was very erotic. And I told her.
You did?
Yeah. I was like, I used to get really turned on by your boobs.
No way.
Yeah.
What did she say?
She loved it.
Oh, I love that. So, you go to drama school, but did your older brother protect you at all? I mean, you
Yes.
mentioned that he was a sporty type.
He was a sporty type,
right?
And I was not. But he was very protective because also he's 6 years older than me, which is a weird, when I was 6, he was 12.
Right.
So when I was 10, he was 16. He
yeah.
wanted nothing to do with me. But when I was at primary school and he was still there, the worst thing was that when we were at primary, what do you call that in America? Grade school.
Grammar school.
Grammar school. When he left to go to high school, that I was kind of on my own a bit, and some boys bullied me on the school bus. And then I did this terrible thing.
What?
Where?
Tell me.
So these boys bullied me on the school bus, and it was like the bus that we went to school in primary school was like a sort of 1950s. It was like one they used in the war. It was really, so it was like a bench here and a bench across opposite it, and he just sat there, and so this boy had been and my brother was kind of he was sexy, and he did sports and everything, and then there was this other boy called David Clark, and
fuck you, David.
I know, it's so terrible because I wrote about this in my book, and I think he got a lot of flack for it. But,
oh, good.
But his brother came out, and we're friends again.
No
after all
way.
these years. Yeah, Mark Clark. He makes bulbs. Well, he doesn't make bulbs, but he does bulbs. Plants. He sells bulbs. He sent me some bulbs.
No, what?
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, so David Clark was sort of under my brother's, in my brother's shadow. Uh-huh. So when my brother went to high school, he was now the cock of the walk.
Right.
So he kind of bullied me a bit. And I told my brother, and we would go to Scouts. We'd cycle to the local village to go to Scouts. Is that what you call it in America? Cub Scouts? Boy Scouts?
Yeah.
Boy Scouts. And so I told him he was bullying me. And one time we were biking home, and he just went, he went, David. And they were sort of all in a group, and he went, David, come here. And I went, what are you doing? He went, go home, Alan. Go home. And I was like... So I cycle home thinking, oh my God, what's he going to do? He's going to
fucking kill him. He's going to kill him.
Going to kill David Clark. And so I go home, and my mum and dad, and my mum goes, where's Tom? And I go, he's just coming. And then he comes back later, a little sort of dishevelled, and I think, what did you do? He's like, don't say anything. And then we were watching telly, and about 10 minutes after that, the doorbell rings, and it's Mrs. Clark, David Clark's mum, with David Clark, who's got a black eye, and he's
fuck
crying,
you, David. Yeah,
crying and crying, and she's going, your son punched my son, and he's got a black eye, and my dad's like, is this true, Tom? And Tom's like, yes, but he's been bullying Alan on the school bus for months now. And then they all turn around to me and go, is this true, Alan? And I go, no.
Oh my God!
I was just so overwhelmed, and it was just.
Did Tom fucking beat the shit out of you? I mean, what happened?
No, he actually understood he understood that I was so shocked. And then, once I was and I cried, and everyone, I was so little.
Oh my God!
And then, then they went away, and I said, he did do it, and it was fine. But it was hilarious that I sort of think that's an interesting thing about my relationship with my brother, that he's standing up for me, and then I'm like going, no, I don't. No, it's fine. Nobody did it.
You throw him under the bus.
Yes.
So you go to drama school.
First I went to a publishing house and worked in a magazine.
What'd you do?
I didn't do that in the book. I was too young to go to any college, because I went to school when I was 4, and so I left when I was 16. I did all my exams to go to university or drama school, but they wouldn't take me because I was too young. So
that happened to me too.
So I worked for a year and a half on this in this publishing house in Scotland called DC Thompson's. And what was hilarious was that you get when you first join, you get put into the fiction department. So my job was to answer the phone. I'd go, hello, fiction. Which is, I thought that anything else I would say would be a lie.
Right.
And then I wrote the horoscopes. I made up the horoscopes for the Dundee Evening Telegram.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
So wait.
17 years old, I made up the fucking horoscopes.
Did they make that shit up, all the papers, you think?
I think they did.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they...
Wait, give me one of your good horoscopes.
Well, I always used to think there might be a little old lady living at home with her cats. And I would try not to say, love is in the air. And
right.
I'd always say things like... I'd say, Saturn is returning, so now might be a good time to clean that closet.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Try and keep it banal.
That's great.
So I did that, and then I got put onto a magazine that was hilariously called Tops.
Oh, perfect.
Tops is Tops for pop and TV, and I interviewed pop stars.
No way.
Yeah, and my friend Alan, the one who just came to visit, he
Alan
reminded
Clark.
me that Alan Scott.
Oh,
he
Scott,
reminded me that he what he said to me. I said to him, "Do you want to come with me and pretend to be a photographer?" And so I went to Edinburgh, and Mike Oldfield. Remember? Jewish name?
Goldfield?
No, Oldfield. Remember Tubular
Oldfield.
Bells? Does anyone remember Tubular Bells?
Yeah.
It was the theme from The Exorcist. Remember?
Is that it?
That was it.
Okay.
So he was coming, and I was sent to interview him, and they said they want some photos, and so my friend Alan Scott. Now he was we were 17, he was maybe 18. He was hairy. He had a hairy chest when he was 12. He was one of those boys. I was 17, I looked 12.
Right.
And I went and interviewed Mike Oldfield. Can you imagine what he must have thought?
Wow.
And I once interviewed Sal Solo of Classics Nouveau. That was a band.
Oh, wow.
And he took me back to his hotel room, and he got in the bath, and I interviewed him on the side of the bath.
And nothing happened?
Nothing happened, actually.
Really?
No. Really.
Did you see his wiener?
Yeah.
Circumcised?
I can't remember. It's been so many between him and now. He had a bald head, though.
So you have these jobs. You end up. Then you go to.
I go to drama school. Yeah.
You go to drama school.
Age 17, like
wow.
a baby.
Baby. Oh yeah. And your mother left your father, but she waited until you guys were out of the house. Was it when you were 17, or was it?
No, she waited till my last year of drama school.
Okay.
I think they split up. I think they decided to split up when I was
right.
But on my 2 days after my 20th birthday, she told me.
And were you so happy?
No, I was devastated.
Really?
I was so upset. Yeah, because I sort of thought they'd got into a way of being able to deal with each other. They'd seemed happier when I'd gone home, and they lived in different parts of the house, different bedrooms and everything, and sort of had their own lives. But they seemed to be kind of amiable, and and I was like, I'd wanted them to split up all through my childhood. But now I thought, it's nice. They've kind of found a way and everything. They seem quite happy. But that was because they decided to split up.
Okay, yeah.
And then when it happened, I think when she told me, I think all the kind of stuff about my childhood kind of just kicked in, and I just was really, 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 really upset about it.
Did drama school do something for your psyche? Did you feel like, this is what, because most people live their lives hating their job, working so they can retire, which is very sad. But were you like, was it other, like did you say this is what I am meant to be or meant to do?
Yeah, pretty. I mean, I think I already knew that actually. And so drama school just gave me more sort of ability to be a storyteller in different ways.
Did they acknowledge your talent? They say you're different, you're special,
Well, I mean, some of them did, but it's been so fascinating recently. There was one teacher who told me when I was 19 that I would never make it as a professional actor. Like, shouted at me after a scene thing. I did a speech, and he was so mean to me. And then the following year, I got like a job, and then I got let off to do a play of Macbeth. I did Macbeth, and then I got a movie, and he was which is, you think that's what drama school's for. You think if you get the chance, maybe that's a good idea. They let you off to do this job because that's what you want to do, is to be an actor. It wasn't like I was getting time off to be a plumber or something.
Yeah.
And he was just so horrible to me, really, really horrible. And he told me that, and so he really crushed my confidence at age 19. And the following year, when I was like, I've got jobs, fuck you, mister.
Yeah.
Then he was just trying to really undermine my other people in my class, because he said, my having a job meant that I screwed up their schedule of, because it was exams and it was like scene study, blah, blah, blah. He was just incited other people to be mean to me in my class. He was just awful. Anyway, so then... so a couple of years ago, I met up with an old friend who had actually had a slight affair with this lecturer, which we all knew about. And she said, but mentioned his name, and I went, he was so horrible to me. And she went, really? Oh, he told me you were going to be a big, big star.
Oh, my God.
And so he told me that I was never going to make it as a professional actor. And at the same time, he was saying that to her. And then this summer, I met another boy, jealous. Exactly, jealous. And then another boy said later in the course, like a year or two later, he said he used to whip us with you, Alan. He would say, if I asked Alan to do this, he would do this, immediately. He would get this character.
So fascinating.
And yet, to me, he was so awful and evil. And I just think he was actually a jealous person. He probably, shouldn't have been a teacher. He was still wanted to be an actor, and he saw someone with a sort of spark and who was starting to become successful, even when I was at drama school. And he tried to crush it. He tried to crush my
because
spirit.
that's what happened to him.
Yeah, exactly. Or he didn't want, I don't know. It's just so interesting. And like several times when I've won big awards and everything, I've had to squash the desire to say, this is for the teacher.
You've never said it?
I've never said, this is for the teacher that told me I'd never make
What's
it
his
as a
name?
professional actor. I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, fuck! Get him another drink, guys. Seriously.
But I just feel it would bring, the papers and newspapers in Scotland and everything would go. It would just be awful for him. And I don't wish that on him, having happen to me.
I have to say, those people in the beginning of your career who say that, it stays with you forever.
Yeah.
And it's like your self-doubt.
But but also because of my father, I mean, I sort of saw many similar traits in him as my father. And because I had questioned my father from the beginning, other people at college were saying I was doing well, but he was so violently telling me I was not doing well. I questioned him, and because of having questioned the sort of authority figures in my life since being a child, it hurt me because I respected him and I wanted him to like me. But I didn't think that it wasn't all encompassing. You know what I mean? I just thought that it was horrible to feel there was someone who had a sort of vendetta against me again.
But it was all his bullshit,
totally,
his shit.
Totally
it was all his shit.
Yeah.
Was it 1993 where your first big theater job was not 19?
I mean,
it was in the 80s, but the
first big thing that happened to me was, like in those sort of career-y things, was that a play that I did in Edinburgh at the Traverse Theatre. It transferred to the Royal Court in London, and then I got nominated for an Olivier Award and stuff. So I was 23.
Wow.
And it was just insane. And I suddenly was, going to London. I was living in London. I was a big star at the Royal Court Theatre. And
you're 23 years old.
I was 23 years old. And I was a baby. And then
But did you believe it, the press and all the, like what was going on in your head?
I mean, in a funny sort of way, I just sort of rolled with it,
Yeah.
But now looking back at it, like when I see like 23-year-olds and that level of, it was a lot to happen. It was a lot. And also I felt like I felt like a little boy, but I was also being like a big sex pot in the play. And so that was a bit interesting thing. I think that's something that's going on through my life that I sometimes people think of me as a big sexy thing, and I'm just sort of a geek underneath it.
Oh my God, you're so hot. Oh my God, seriously, you are like you. I think we did that one before. No. Yeah, you exude sex. You exude so much. I can't even. All right. So you do Shakespeare.
Yeah, then I went to the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Yeah.
After that. So I moved to London. I went to the Royal Shakespeare Company for a year. Hated it.
You hated it?
I hated it.
How come?
It was sort of like a sort of Shakespeare factory, do you know? It wasn't very... Because at the time I'd done a lot of... Well, not a lot, but a few years since I got out of drama school of doing plays for short runs. And then you think, gosh, you're just getting to the end of the run and you've just got the hang of it and it's time to stop it.
Yeah.
And I thought the idea of going and working with a company for, you do different plays in repertoire, it would be great to feel that you're really working on something, making it better. It wasn't like that. It was just, I felt like I was in a Shakespeare factory. So that was disappointing. And
Did you meet anyone?
I met some nice friends, though. Yeah, I met some
Really?
really
No
good
one
friends.
famous? No.
I don't think anyone you would... Well, actually, I did a production of As You Like It, which I wasn't really a fan of. I played Sylvius, but the girl who played Rosalind was Sophie Thompson, who's Emma Thompson's sister. And then
I love Emma
Sophie
Thompson.
Yes, and Sophie and her mum were in the film Emma that I did later. And then when a couple of years later at the National Theatre, in the studio there, I did Romeo and Juliet, and I played Romeo, and Sophie was Juliet. And she is a brilliant actress.
And Emma made it.
And Sophie made it too, but Emma's much more well known. Yeah.
Do you think they get along, Emma and Sophie?
I think they did then. Yeah. And at the time, Emma was married to Kenneth Branagh, so they would come and visit and stuff like that. And they were like, Liz and Richard, and Brad and Angelina. It was like this. They were like the crazy, famous arty couple of the age.
And you had never come to New York. You'd done theater in London.
I never had been to America for a holiday or anything, a vacation or anything. And I didn't actually come to New York until I was 31.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's right. I went.
That was good, Matt.
Don't forget to tune in next week to Just Kill Me Now.
Just Kill Me.
Oh. Don't forget to turn for part 2 on Just Kill Me.
No, it's not. It's
Just Kill Me.
No.
Judy Gold's Just Kill Me.
Just.
Just Kill Me Now.